Tesla is cutting prices in the United States again, and they're also just last week cut prices in Australia. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? And how should we view it as long-term stockholders? This is Randy Kirk, and if this content is useful to you, please hit the like button. You might want to hit the subscribe button as well. And we have a lot of great shows coming up over the next few days. I put those in the description below so that you can kind of see what's coming up. And you might want to hit notify if you'd like to be notified. And finally, why don't you join Patreon? It would really be a help to the channel, helps me to be able to afford to do what I'm doing. And of course, you could buy some copies of the book, The Elon Musk Mission or The Elon Musk Method if you're an entrepreneur. Okay, let's jump into the subject matter today. All right, I am going to claim to be something of a pricing expert. I have been in product development my entire career. I'm a marketer. That's what I do. I have products on Amazon right now. I've helped 400 different companies as a consultant over the last 15 years, and often that was with regard to pricing. I have hundreds of products that I've put on the market. Some of those have been on the product. Some of those products have been on the market for 50 years or longer. Okay, so there you go. I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty good at what I do, but we won't argue that one way or the other. Let's talk about some of the things that I believe that Tesla is using as a way to make these decisions with regard to pricing. And then a few things that I don't think they care about with regard to how they set their prices. So let's begin with right down the list here. Farzi, actually, earlier today, he hit it out of the park. I gave him a big heart there on Twitter because he said, number one, long-term mission. Okay, every company, if they're not paying attention to their long-term mission, is probably making a big mistake. And in Tesla's case, it's even a bigger mistake because their long-term mission is such a big part of who they are, of their brand, of their identity, of the way that their customers see them, but also their suppliers see them, as the government sees them, as the overall general public sees them, and as their employees see them. So you don't want to stray from the mission. The mission in this particular case is to get as many EVs on the market as you possibly can to speed up the transition to renewable energy. That's only going to happen as a result of making and selling lots and lots of cars. So the mission, I would say, is number one. How do you make that happen? If you have to lower the price of cars because you need to increase the size of your TAM, your total addressable market, you may have to do that. This might be especially true in a year where you're going to be adding somewhere on the order of 600 to 800, maybe even a million cars to the number of cars that you sold the previous year. While everybody else is, not everybody else, but a lot of the car makers are seeing slowing numbers, Elon is trying to add a bare minimum of 500,000, more likely 800,000 new cars in addition to the 1.3 million they sold last year. So if you want to sell a lot more cars, you might have to lower pricing. Okay, number two, brand perception. You got to be a little careful. Everybody talks about this. You don't want your price to go so low on your exotic or your specialty, your luxury cars. You don't want it to go so low that it's no longer perceived as a luxury car. So that's a consideration, a concern. I'm sure that they're taking this into consideration. I did do a little analysis. I'll talk about this in a couple of different places here, is that the price that we are at now on Model 3, Model Y, Model X, Model S is not that far off of where they were 4 years ago. So we're kind of getting back to where prices were. Now, of course, inflation has created a tremendous increase in a lot of products on the market, but not all. I don't know if you know that, but not all prices go up at the same rate. And we do know that things like batteries and EVs are expected by many who believe in the Tony Seba theories of disruption, that because they're ramping up production of a brand new category of products, that the pricing will go down as the ramp up continues. So the fact that we're getting close to those old prices from 3 or 4 years ago would suggest to me that, well, we'll talk more about that in a minute, but we're not that far off from those prices. Number three, You want to maximize your efficiency. Well, you maximize efficiency in this case by taking advantage of these brand new factories and ramping up as fast as you can to full capacity, getting 3 and 4 shifts. A lot of people don't understand. It shocks me that people don't understand that 1 shift is the least efficient thing you can do in a building. I mean, I was paying $14,000 a month rent for my building. So if I was running 1 shift, then that monthly fee, it was $14,000 for that 1 shift. But if I'm running 4 shifts, it's as if I had split my rent into 4 and paying only, what would that be, $3,500 a month. This is really, really important, and it's hugely important as they're doing these ramps in Berlin and Austin to get all the way up to 4 shifts. 4 shifts meaning a week, meaning that you're using all the weekend hours in addition to all the weekday hours 24/7. All right, so you want to get to full shifts. If you want to get to full shifts, that's going to maximize your efficiency. You're also getting more efficient on your lines. You're not starting and stopping. Your people are getting more efficient by being employed for longer periods. Anyway, all kinds of efficiencies by being flat out. Number 4, the bottom line. So this is where I was saying I would come back to it. I believe that Elon and the entire staff, everybody, all of the executive leadership has their eye squarely on that bottom line. They really want to keep, what they said was they want to keep the operating margin at about the level. They didn't actually say at the level it is now. They just said, watch the operating margin. Pay attention to that. Well, it's been running around 17%. That's really, really good. It's really amazing to have a manufacturing company, especially a large product, expensive product like Tesla, to have operating margins that high. I think those margins will stay there and go higher. Not 100% sure in the first quarter. I'm suggesting they might drop to 15% in the first quarter, but I think that Elon and the rest of the crew has their mind on keeping that level up there in that 15 to 18% range. And we'll see what happens on the 19th, but I'm way more interested in what happens in the second quarter. So they're looking at the bottom line and they're saying, okay, with the mix, here's what it costs us to make it in China. Here's what it costs us to make it in Berlin. Here's what it costs to make in Austin. Here's what it costs to make in Fremont. Here's what it's going to cost to make it down in Mexico. What do we want to do in terms of the mix, in terms of the way we sell it, in terms of what we charge in different locations and what we charge for the different models? You know, all of those things go into the consideration of how you get to the price that's going to give them that 17, 18% operating margin. I believe this is very, very important, on their mind all the time. Number 5, their strategic interests, such as other products that are coming onto the market and their TAM and their SAM. So other products coming on the market. Well, we know that the model, the third level of the master plan is coming on out of Mexico, probably also out of Berlin and Shanghai and Austin. They'll be making some of those cars on the third level platform. Those are 18 months away before they even begin to start pushing those out. But you got to start taking into consideration, what do you need to do in that 18 months to position those new cars and to make sure that you're maximizing the sale of the cars that you currently have. You also look at the positioning between the cars. So we've seen that the Model Y, as the prices come down, is starting to gobble up a little bit of Model 3's air. So what do you got to do to the Model 3 in order to not have Model 3 sales drop or not be as good as the Model, if the Model Y is cannibalizing some of those Model 3 sales. So you're looking at all these strategic aspects with regard to these different cars. You're also looking at the strategic aspect that almost all, well, virtually 100% of the new cars that they'll be shipping this year are all going to be Model Ys. And of course, the Model Y is going to have much higher margins because they're coming out of the new factories, and they're going to have higher margins because of the fact that they're ramping up, and so the margins are dropping. So all of these things are being taken into consideration as they decide, does this one go up a little? Does this one go down a little? Does it go up in Australia, but it goes, go down in Australia, but maybe we can raise it up a little bit in Singapore. We're just opening up Malaysia. What are we going to charge in Malaysia? All of these things have to be taken into consideration. All right, I believe those things are all being taken into consideration. And then there's the TAM and the SAM. So you have your total addressable market, which is all automobiles. Then you have your serviceable addressable market, which would be EVs. And then even within that, you're talking about right now all luxury cars. So what can people afford? And this is what Elon has been saying on Twitter for days, actually for years. If you go back and look, this is not a new subject. He has been saying for years, you need to be able to price the car to be able to get enough of the affordability in play. Now, people are affording more in these luxury Tesla cars. They're willing to move up in class in order to get a Tesla because they're getting all the savings on the other side in terms of what it costs them to operate the vehicle. But in general, there's a point at which a person can't afford it. And right now, that means that Tesla is lowering their prices in order to get into greater and greater SAMs or TAMs so that because the lower the price, obviously, the more folks can afford the monthly payment. So that's a very big consideration. Number 6, competitive pressures. I really don't think that Tesla cares very much about the competition from the other BEVs. I really don't. I think they say and believe it. I know Elon does. He says it over and over again. I think he believes it, that they want those people to succeed. They want them to do very well. So I don't believe any of this price cutting has anything to do with hurting the other BEV companies, even the ones that you and I might think, man, they're a competitor. We can't, oh my gosh, we're worried that they might take some of our share and whatnot. No. Elon is all about taking away share from ICE vehicles. So the lowering of costs is trying to get the cost down to where there's an equivalency on the sticker price between similar cars. We already know that there's 5 years, you're going to make out like a bandit on an equivalent car between an ICE and a BEV. But the real moment when all humans, or almost all humans, will be smart enough to see that they need to get a BEV is when those sticker prices are the same, and yet you never have to go to a gas station and rarely have to go to have anything done to maintain the car. All right, so that's competitive pressure, all about the ICE cars, and yes, I think that's part of the consideration. Number 7, the overall economy. So the cost of credit has gone up, and that has increased the monthly payments, whether it's leased or purchased, and with a loan. So that's one overall economic consideration. Number 2 economic consideration, you have a rough economy. Well, yeah, is it or isn't it? I mean, really. But what has happened is people have gone out and spent way too much money, and their credit lines are getting maxed out, and they're having a hard time paying their bills because of their credit card payments are so high. So yes, I think that there is I think there's a tendency right now for consumers and others to be being a little careful about how they spend money. So that is another consideration about lowering the price, because you need that to get down to that affordability level in a market where folks may not be quite as able to pay the price. And of course, it'll also be dependent upon what they're already doing. They might already have a car that they're 3 or 4 years into the payments. The payments might be $500 a month, and can they get to $700? No, but maybe they can see getting to $600 if they trade in their car. A lot of those kind of considerations in this kind of difficult economy. The other major aspect of the overall economy is the tremendous drop in the cost of goods that go into a Tesla automobile. So dropping prices on batteries, dropping prices on lithium, dropping prices on steel, copper, just go down the line. A lot of the commodity prices are coming down. We also would know that the overall costs of manufacturing these cars has gone down, and may in some cases be lower than it was 3 or 4 years ago, the last time the prices were around this level. We don't know this. We'll see again on the 19th. We'll get some hints, and maybe there'll be some questions asked about this. I think it'll be the second quarter, maybe even the third quarter, before we can really know the trends in terms of the cost of goods based on the material savings and the efficiencies of the new factories. All right, and then finally, unique circumstances. Well, we got a major unique circumstance right now, which is the IRA. The IRA has been up in the air. It's made a lot of confusion in the public. That may be keeping people from buying. Now the IRA is becoming more clear, but it's still not clear. But it's eventually, I guess later this month, it's going to be clear, at least for now. And that's a big deal in terms of the pricing, in terms of which cars fit into the categories, and how that affects the bottom line and what the person might be paying in their monthly payment. So there's unique circumstances like that all over the world. There's other incentives, and there's state incentives, there's other country incentives. And so all that has to go into the figures. All right. So what isn't Elon keeping in his mind? What isn't the top executives at Tesla thinking about when they make pricing decisions? They're not thinking about the short-term prices of the stock. Okay, they don't care about the short-term stock price. They don't care that on Monday it might go down because of these price cuts on Friday. They just don't care. I don't think they pay any attention to it at all, because folks like me, and I do sometimes play short term. I do use leaps, and would sell if I thought it was a great price and I thought there was going to be some opportunity to buy back lower. I might do that. I've done it in the past. So he doesn't care about that. They just don't care about that. So all the yelling and screaming by people that are investing money for others and playing in and out of the market, Elon doesn't care. Number two, he doesn't care about criticism from those day traders. Okay. Number three, he does not have any concern about the perceptions of margin shrink by pundits. So he doesn't care if CNBC and some of these yo-yos that come on are all worried that margins are going to drop below 15%, or that the average cost of sale is going to drop below $40,000. He doesn't care. They don't care. What they care about is all the 8 things that I gave you just a few minutes ago, and they are going to figure out, based on those 8 things, how to price automobiles by model and by market. All right. Elon has stated that he loves what the airlines do with regard to the changing the pricing all day long. I think if he could, he would have prices that you would go on and you wouldn't know until you got there what the price was going to be, just like an airline ticket. He's not going to do that. But I believe that you will continue to see Tesla changing prices frequently by model and by market as circumstances warrant. And it'll be based on those 8 things that I just mentioned above. By the way, if you have other things I didn't include in there, in terms of other things that you think they're using as a decision-making tool, or if you think that there's more things that they're not thinking about that we as who are watching this drama unfold think that they should be thinking about, I'm happy to let me know in the comments. I read your comments. I respond to your comments. Okay. I had a commenter, in fact, the other day. His name is Ulrich Anderson. And Ulrich hit it out of the park. He said, you know what? I bet you they're using AI to set these price decisions. And that's, I don't know why I didn't think of it. I think it's absolutely 100% true. It is an extremely complex thing to set these prices on these Tesla automobiles. You have all those 8 things that I just mentioned, and all of them are going all these different ways on any given day. You're looking ahead to how commodities that affect the price of the car. You have to look ahead as to how those are going to affect it next year and the year after that. You're looking ahead to see how many days of sales do we have out there, backlog, how many, are people waiting 2 months? Are they waiting 3 months? You have decisions with regard to, if you drop it by $1,000, how many additional people does that throw into your TAM? I mean, it's a complex thing, and I'm thinking you hit it out of the park, Ulrich. It is definitely something I bet you they're using AI to help them make the decision. And then what happens is, because they're using AI, and I believe this is true, now you can use the decisions that are being made to feed back into the AI to help it learn what happened when you made those decisions. And it can be done minute by minute. Nobody else has this capability. Only Tesla sells direct to the consumer. Only Tesla can watch the website information coming in real time and say, we dropped the price 1,000 and all of a sudden we got these many orders the first day or the first hour, this many orders the second day, the third day compared to what it was $1,000 higher. And you can compute that with regard to what that means in terms of keeping your factories running full time. Nobody else has this capability. So I believe that this is 100% true. Thank you so much, Yurik, for bringing that to our attention. I was thinking a couple of things would be something that they have never done. Maybe they should start having sales. We're going to put the Model Y Performance on sale for a month. And, you know, at the end of the month, it's going back to the full price. Give some people a little bit of a, you know, let you know, hey, you got a month to figure this out. And at the end of the month, it's going back to the real price. And that might be kind of fun. I don't know. There you go, Elon, that one's for free. So a lot of folks are also talking right now about the whole question about advertising. I think I'm going to get around to doing that again. I have done lots of videos in the past. I am a marketing guy. That's what I've done my whole life. And I have a lot to say about the question of advertising. I have a lot to say. I've made a lot of statements about, what was that, 5 months ago? I made a lot of statements about how Elon should use advertising and other marketing approaches rather than dropping prices. And then I had to put up a big, I goofed video because he dropped the prices. And then I realized, based on these 8 things and based on a lifetime of pricing products, hey, Elon made the right move. You're making the right move now. Should you advertise in addition? Maybe. We'll talk about that in another video, maybe sometime this week. All right. Hey, if this has been useful to you, you know exactly what to do. You need to save it. You need, to share it. That'd be one thing. I don't mention that often enough. You know, if you share this, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere that you're doing social media. You know how much that would help me? If you share, and if you're on Twitter and you see that I've put the video up on Twitter, do you know that retweeting that is a huge help, because now it goes to your group that's following you. That would be a great help if you want to do that. And then, of course, if you want to like it, and then you want to subscribe, and then want to hit the notify button, and then finally join Patreon. You can get in for just $5 a month. Look at that. What a great deal. Okay. It's been great talking to you today.